Welcome, Rotarians and guests. This is meeting 5,449 of the Rotary Club of San Jose. And yes, we are counting. Thanks again, Jeff. All right. Thank you, executive chefs. Can I get a wave from our executive chefs? Where is it? Thank you so much, executive chefs, for handling that greeting line today. Wonderful. Your committee's growing. I appreciate seeing that. All righty. Guest introductions. Today, I believe we have Red Badgers Chelsea Souza and Jim Horry on the microphones. Please tell us just a bit about yourselves.
Good afternoon. I'm Chelsea Souza, Chief Development Officer at Pivotal. Michelle Loxon is my sponsor.
Wonderful.
Hello, everyone. Jim Horry. I'm the CEO at the YMCA of Silicon Valley.
Give me a Y.
And yeah, go Y. And my sponsor is Irby Smith.
Fantastic. Welcome, welcome. Well, if you are a visiting Rotarian or you have a guest with you, please stand up so we can get you introduced. And I've been asked, I got some stage direction. We're going to be starting on the left-hand side so we don't drive our photographer nuts. Looks like we've got Sarji right away.
Hello, President Heather.
Hi.
Everyone, Sarju Naran with Hook Fenton. My sponsor is Gene Serpa. Today, my guest is Mark Washbush, the Chief Operating Officer for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Silicon Valley.
Welcome, Mark. Great to see you in the room. All right, going around the room. Oh, hi there.
Hi, President Karen. Jennifer Simmons.
I love being President Karen.
Oh, sorry. President Heather. What am I talking about?
I'll take the compliment any day.
Category, let's see. I'm pleased to announce my guest, my husband, Nicholas Maley.
Wonderful. Great to have you in the room. Jennifer's a fantastic interior designer, FYI. I'm throwing that in as your classification. All right, we have Larry Stone.
And if you all feel better now?
I know I do.
My guest today is Emily Esparza. She has a company of her own, Esparza Consulting.
Wonderful to have you. Thank you. Steve Ellenberg.
Hello, hello. If we stop booing Larry, he may retire finally. I just want Steve Ellenberg, law practice litigation. Happy to introduce my guest, Jose Arbayo, who is the Director of Communications for the President of the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors, Susan Ellenberg.
Nice. You both have the same boss. How cute.
Is that me? Hey, President.
I'll answer anything.
Anyway, I'm really proud to have my son-in-law, Nick Burgess, here. He works with Roblox. He's actually a manager of one of the physics teams.
Great to see you, Nick. Love the family connection in the room here today. Super strong family connection.
President Heather, I'm going to jump in with my own introduction. This is my son, Owen Souza, who's home from UCSB, about to be a sophomore.
Go Gauchos. Welcome. So glad you're in the room. Alden.
President, I'm very happy to introduce my my guest on the left, who is a former Rotarian. In fact, she was one of the first group of women Rotarians in this Rotary Club.
Let's yes, absolutely.
My wife of 42 years, Ann Danner.
Ann, so great to see you in the room.
And my second guest, Marcia, if you'll stand up, is the widow of a former president of this Rotary Club, Randy Hall, who was president in 1999 and 2000, Marcia Hall.
Thank you, Marcia. Great to see you in the room. All right, I've got a little cluster mid-room back there. Hi,
President
Greg.
Heather, Greg Kepferly, Catholic Charities, classification, nonprofit Catholic Charities. Okay, my guest is Yamei Zai, who is partner at Armanino. Yamei.
We know Armanito. Wonderful to see you
And
here.
hopefully a new member soon.
Hi, Deanna.
Hi, President Heather. We have the wonderful John Silva back for a second time considering joining our club, and he has his own workforce development consulting firm.
Welcome. All right, I think we've got, Mary.
Esteemed President Heather.
Oh, esteemed.
Doesn't that sound good? I'm really happy to introduce Amelia Capsuto, who is the new Associate Development Director for Home First.
Welcome. Really glad you're in the room.
Good afternoon, President Heather. I'm Ramesh Hariharan, a past member of this club
Yes, welcome home.
and a past district governor from this district, and I'm happy to introduce my 3/4 half, or better than that, Shobha Ramesh.
Wonderful to have you.
Hi, I'm happy to be back to a club meeting after many, many years and seeing so many people and some of the familiar faces too. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for your service as district governor. I know how much work that is. All righty, next up, we have Sarju with our membership update. Come on up.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Sarju. I only have one name. I don't have a last name.
It's like Cher.
Yeah, well, I do have a last name. It's up there. Here to just give a quick update on the membership committee. So, our quest to 500, right? That's our goal for this year. As of yesterday, we have 12 new members for this year already. So we're off to a really good start. Yes, please. Fortunately, we do tend to lose people now and then for a variety of different reasons, and so we do have a few, 8 folks down at the moment. Our current total is still up, so that's good. And of course, this is when we're going through renewals, and so hopefully we've seen all the resignations we're going to see, and there won't be very many more or any more. We also have 3 already in the queue for next month, so we're looking good. But of course, we need everybody's help to get us to the numbers that we need. I just want to acknowledge quickly our sponsors thus far for this year. The ones in yellow are the ones who sponsored somebody or co-sponsored somebody for this month. So thank you to all of you who have helped, dialed into your network, and of course, we're looking for all of you to do the same, and I'll get to that in a minute. Just sneak preview, I'm going to ask you to bring out your phones again like I did last month and think of someone to text, but I'll give you a couple prompts. What I did want to do, though, is take a moment to remind everybody about the membership process, because I think we tend to assume that everybody knows what that looks like. Don't want to take that for granted. So, very importantly, former members, folks who lapsed their membership or chose not to renew in the last 3 years, they can reinstate without having to pay the initiation fee of $500. It's only a $100 reinstatement fee. They don't have to repeat their red badge year. I get that question a lot. Do I have to be a red badger again? No. Although I don't know why you wouldn't want to be. It's like so much fun. But anyway, so that's really easy, right? And we've got a lot of folks that we can go back to and folks that we lost during the pandemic for a variety of reasons that kind of make sense to resonate with us. We're back together in person, so let's get them back. For new member candidates, here's what we need. Any new member needs to show up to 2 meetings, visit 2 of our meetings. What I say is bring your application to that second meeting. We're ready to vote on you as soon as you do that. Well, not as soon as, but let's get it started. The club will pay for lunch for prospective members' first lunch. Maybe all of you don't know that, and that's huge. So it's not just coming out of your pocket if you invite somebody who's considering joining. Applications for membership, they're at every meeting. They're available outside on the table. They're at the bottom. There's a link to it on every weekly bulletin that Leslie sends out. And of course, it's also on the website. So lots of ways to find that application. The deadline for submitting an application so that it can be reviewed on time is the first Wednesday of the month. And that's because membership meets on the second Tuesday of the month. So as long as we've got those 6 days, and we've got Lindley here holding us accountable for that, because he's got his team in place to do all the vetting of references. And so we need to make sure we've got a sufficient amount of time to call those folks. And in that regard, please make sure you let your candidates know to give their references a heads up that they're going to be contacted so that they know to timely respond and get that information to us so that we can vote on them at the membership committee meeting on the second Tuesday. Assuming they're approved at the membership committee, then they get reviewed by the board, which means on the third Tuesday of the month, which was yesterday, and that's where we approved the 7 new members that we have for this month. As a reminder, to become a new member, it's a $500 initiation fee. That's one time. And then the annual dues are $950 plus $400 donation to the foundation. Thereafter, no more of that $500, it's just the $950 plus the $400. And of course, it's really important that we hold on to the membership that we have. It's easier to retain people than to find new folks, right? So sponsors, please check in with your recruits once they're on board. Make sure that they're feeling welcome and that they're engaged on committees and coming to events and meetings and whatnot. Okay, the moment. Do it now. This is Arnold Schwarzenegger from, what was it, Predator. Okay, time to text. Please bring out your phones, and I want you to think on one of the following prompts, okay? Who has opened a new business in San Jose? Who's recently stepped into a leadership role? Or, who do you disagree with on political issues, but you can still have an intelligent and respectful conversation? Come on, you know folks that don't entirely agree with you. Pick one of those three, and please text them. You can use whatever language you want, but here's a suggestion. I'm at a Rotary meeting thinking about how much you'd enjoy it. Can you join me next Wednesday? It gives them a specific date, right? Not, hey, come sometime, next Wednesday. And they may say, not available next Wednesday. All right, fine, the following Wednesday. All right? Am I seeing phones? I'm seeing a few phones. Okay, that's all I got for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I can't remember what president before me said this, but Rotary is a gift. You're not bothering anybody. You're not harassing them. You're not insisting that they do something that's bad for them. This is good for them. Rotary becomes a habit over time, and it is a gift. So remember that. You're giving someone a gift. All right, next up, I've got Mary Curtis with Disaster Relief. Come on up. That was very cheery. Disaster Relief.
Hello, everybody. As Heather said, I'm Mary Curtis, and I am the new chair of the Disaster Relief Committee. And basically what we do is we respond to disasters far and wide. So remember the flooding here in San Jose, and think war in Ukraine. We've been contributors to both. But we don't just contribute immediately. And I notice, I think maybe some of you got notice of a new Rotary District or Rotary International Disaster Relief Committee. I think that's going to end up being the more immediate responder. We wait till the first responders are off the ground. We're not the boots that meet the first responders. We're the people who come in afterwards. Because as everybody here knows, you have an event and then the aftermath of that event. And so we are really concerned with the aftermath. One feature of our committee is that we don't meet. We do everything virtually. So it's a great committee to be on if you're a busy person. And I don't know a Rotarian who isn't busy. So let's go back to the idea of responding in a kind of secondary fashion. We're still looking to place our dollars in response to the Maui wildfire. That gives you an idea. And what we look for is we look for a project where 100% of the money goes not to overhead. None of it goes to overhead. It goes to help people, help victims. We're currently exploring a nonprofit, a 501c3. They're called Equine, that does equine therapy. It's called Spirit Horse Ranch. And you know, we're waiting to get it vetted by the Rotary Club, so our process is fairly thorough. And we will recommend that and also contribute a donation to that at some point in the future. We may choose not to do that. I would love to talk with you more. There's so much more to say, but I know I'm on a clock here, and I'd love to come talk to the Red Badge Committee. Please hit me.
More seconds. You're good. Don't rush.
Hit me up if hit me up if you're interested in this committee. It's really a good one with good people, and it's amazing how much good work we get done just using email and communication and people to people. Thank you.
Thank you. For those that are new in the room, we have over 50 committees, and my goal this year is to highlight our good committee work, both in the greeting line, up on the podium, and fairly good frequent updates on what everyone's doing. And of course, the goal is to make sure that you have a home on a committee. All righty, come on up, Rick Alpers, where are you? Right here. Oh, came to the left, sneaking up there. Come on up here.
All right, here we go. Twice in 2 weeks, you guys. That's tough duty for me. We're going to talk about the barbecue, September 11, okay? But I want to start this little hype talk here off with the announcement from Vince.
And I have my own mic. Amazing. Okay. So next big project we've been working on for over 3 years. You might recall this is a mobile medical clinic in partnership with Catholic Charities, Rotocare Bay Area, and Order of Malta. And we've been hoping and praying that this thing would be done in time. We think come Labor Day, it will be rolling from Riverside over the Grapevine and arrive in time for our Rotary Barbecue. It will be the unveiling of it.
Good deal. Thank you, Vince. Okay, executive chefs, stand up. Stand up. Up, up. These are the people that cook for you, right here. Okay? A week ago, I stood up here in front of you and talked about good people. I hope most of you were around. Anyway, last night I watched the convention, which I'm sure most of us did, and former President Obama made this statement: we need to take more time to know each other. Yes, we need to take more time to know each other. So, we're surrounded by good people right here. Come to the barbecue, have a cocktail if you choose, have a great dinner, rub elbows with people you belong in the club with, bring a friend, bring a recruit, come out and have a good time. We'd love to cook for you guys. So we'll see you there on the 11th. Thanks.
Absolutely wonderful. Don't forget, we've got O'Brien's Ice Cream open that night and live music. Next up, come on up, Deanna. Come on up, Dave.
Do you guys remember when Mr. Ryan Neal spoke a little bit ago, a couple of weeks ago, about our Rotary Neurodivergent Youth Empowerment Fund? Well, this is his amazing grandfather. Would you like to talk a little bit about Ryan and how this fund came about?
Yeah, David Neal, been a member here for many years. We decided to found the committee based on the experiences I have with my grandson, or two grandsons, and the challenges they have in working their way through life, particularly in education. And so it was my pleasure to be the founder of the Neurodiverse Education Foundation through Rotary, which I'm so thankful to Rotary for, and for all of you. The great news is we are now up and running. I think we must be number maybe 49 or 50 of the new Rotary committees. In the last year, we had over 15 applicants, where we have 5 recipients, and we're very happy to report that we will have an attendance meeting for the neurodiverse group on Sunday, when we will present the giving checks out to the 5 recipients. It's going to be at San Jose State.
Yep.
Deanna, do you have a
I have
number?
the specifics.
And we'd love to welcome any of you who can join us. We look forward to this building reputation, joining people who have the same issues, and getting these youth moving in their lives. Thank you.
So it's right up here. Before I said it was 12 to 2, it's now 2 to 4 in room number 3 of the Student Union at San Jose State this coming Sunday. You're all welcome. The artists are really excited to share their craft with you.
All right, President's time. All right, I am so excited to work with Audrey Fox and the foundation. We have a little project called Got a Dot, Get Some Dots. So next week, photography committee, that's for you to lower the microphone so you can get the photos. If you've got a dot on your badge, and I see a pink one right there, I see if you've got a pink dot on your badge, that means that you've made your contribution to the foundation this year. And don't worry, there's still time. If you don't have that dot, get it between now and next week, or you can even get it next week. We're going to bring in some Dippin' Dots for you. So you got your dot, you're going to get some Dippin' Dots. So we're calling this our foundation celebration. Right. And then tonight, don't forget, we've got our Downtown Happy Hour series continuing, and today we're going to be at the Fountainhead. And why that's important, many of you remember Thang Do, a wonderful Rotarian. We lost him too young in life, but he was the owner and the founder of the Fountainhead Bar in the Sofa area. And we've got a new owner there who's opening her doors for us tonight from 4 to 6. I hope you'll be there. Members of the Chamber of Commerce, members of the Downtown Association. It's a whole big downtown mingling thing. Come on in, and drinks are on you, which is not a big ask. But anyway, come on down, but the friendship is on us. So we look forward to seeing you. And now I've got a very quick thing. Greg Kefferly, can you jump up here real quick like? Now, for many of you in nonprofits, we're used to getting like these really large, oversized checks with maybe not so large numbers on them, but I'm going to give you a super tiny check with a really big number on it. This tiny check is for $235,000 plus some extra clams, and this is for our remaining payment on the large club project that Vince talked about. Let's do a quick photo. Thank you so much.
Thank you, President Heather. Have the next big project folks stand up.
Oh, yes,
Stand
please.
up.
Next big project, folks. Let's go around the room. Who's on the next big project? Oh, you guys have been through a lot. Thank you. I know there was some pivoting there. That was a lot. All righty. Thank you so much. Next up, Alden Danner, please join me on stage for a wonderful introduction.
Thank you, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure today to introduce the speaker. Now, the speaker happens to be related to me. His name is John Danner. And so I want to tell you a little bit about him before he comes up on the stage. He was born here in San Jose. In fact, just a few blocks from here, down at what was the old San Jose Hospital. He was raised in Saratoga. He went to high school at, what's the name of that? Bellarmine College Prep. After high school, he went to Stanford University. What was it? It was Indians, but no, it's trees now. Go trees, yes. And he earned a degree in electrical engineering and in computer science. And he then worked in several companies around the valley here. It was not called Silicon Valley at that time, but that's the type of companies he worked in, was techie companies. And then he went back to Stanford and he got a master's degree in computer science. And shortly thereafter, he started his own technology company. The name of the company was Net Gravity, and it was the first internet advertising server company in the United States. And he took that company public, and after a few years of trading on the stock exchange and earning money and doing things like that, it got sold to a company back east, and John retired in his early 30s. He didn't like retirement very much, and he decided to go back to college, and he went to Vanderbilt University at this time, and he went and he got his teaching credential. And he taught school in Nashville, Tennessee for several years. And then he came back to San Jose, and with a friend, he started what was called a charter school. The name of that school was Rocket Ship Education. And it still exists here in San Jose, and it's got several branches in San Jose. In fact, it's got related companies all over the United States. John lasted there for, quite a few years, and then he retired and let his friend that he started the company with take over as CEO, and it's still operating. John decided at that point to go into venture capital. Venture capital means you help other people who are starting their companies and so forth. And this was in the high technology area, and John had a particular interest then in education, so he sort of did venture capital education startup types of work. And I should mention that John has spoken to Rotary twice before. Once was right before he did his company that he took public, and the second time was during his leadership of the charter education company, Rocket Ship, and then he has grown in his interest in people working in venture capital, particularly in the education area. And, you know, a couple of years ago, as you all probably know, artificial intelligence started getting very involved with high tech. Well, John liked that so much that he's gotten involved with not only education, but high tech and education. And that's what he's going to speak to us about today. It's my pleasure to recognize and present John Danner as our speaker.
I can tell you that my father probably rehearsed his speech longer than I rehearsed my speech. Thank you, Dad. That was awesome. And you also remembered, my father complains about having not a great memory anymore, but he remembered that I've actually spoke to the club twice. I had totally forgotten when I spoke to you about net gravity because there was a lot going on then. But I do remember when I spoke to you about Rocket Ship Public Schools. That was about 15 years ago when we were just getting started. And that was a super interesting time. So I thank you for having me back. And I'm going to talk a little bit about AI. So the three things I want to talk about. One is really where are we with AI? It seems like the world is losing its mind over AI. So why is that happening? And what's changed really over the last 10 or 15 years, because AI has been around a while. The second is kind of what's going on with Silicon Valley, because as those of you who pay attention, there are some extremely large checks being written into companies right now. Why is that happening? And then talk about AI in education. So I'm going to tell you about two companies that I've started over the last couple of years, and kind of maybe a little bit about why AI may change education, may be a good thing. So let's start with Siri. So most people have Siri in their pockets. And let's compare Siri to ChatGPT. And what's the difference? You know, they're both AI, so what's the difference? And I should start by defining one term. So I'll talk a lot about AI models. An AI model is basically the brain of the AI. So in both the case of Siri and ChatGPT, they're trained with a large amount of data, and that creates a model with a set of weights. And that model, what it does is, given an input, it runs through the model with all its weights, and it produces an output. It's really that simple. So what is the difference between ChatGPT and Siri then? We need to go back 7 years now. So in 2017, Google made a fundamental kind of breakthrough in the way that you train models. They published a paper on transformers. And what transformers really did was to allow companies that were building models to do it with much, much more data. And the way they did that was they could do it, instead of giving one piece of data and then waiting and then the next piece of data, they could do it in parallel with lots of pieces of data at once with the transformer. So from the publishing of that paper, many, many companies started or were working on kind of how to use the transformer. OpenAI was the one that came up with the most striking breakthroughs. Many of you probably remember in 2022 when ChatGPT came out and you chatted with it and it just seemed like it must be alive or there must be something going on there. So what's the difference between that and Siri? It's really about the data. So ChatGPT, the latest model, ChatGPT-4, was trained on about 100 billion parameters, 100 billion pieces of data. That's probably 100 to 1,000 times more than what Siri is trained on. And there are kind of two things that you can tell as a user for a model that's trained with that much more data. One, its understanding of the world is a lot better. It's very clear on how the world works, so when you ask it questions, you don't have to ask it in a little narrow area it knows about, it knows everything. Second, its understanding of language and the nuance of language is much, much better. So the way it speaks to you is almost flawless. So that combination of kind of scope and precision in language is what creates that illusion that you're actually talking to a human. So that's really the difference between ChatGPT and Siri and why we're kind of in a new era right now. So let's talk about Silicon Valley a little bit. You know, really Silicon Valley is kind of like a sleeping bear. Most of the time, companies are getting funded and things are going on. And then every once in a while, everything just goes nuts. And for those of you who were here for the internet era, you remember, you know, like pets.com, the little sock puppet that would ship you dog food for free. Like it was a business model that made no sense whatsoever. That's happening in AI right now, all over the place. There are many, many companies getting started that have no chance of success. And people say, well, gosh, why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense to fund those companies. But what's really happening overall is Silicon Valley's funding everything, every possible opportunity to use this new technology for something, and some are good bets and some are bad. The way I've come to understand this after 40 years of doing it, there's a researcher at the University of London, Carlotta Perez, who has been doing research in this area for many years, and she's looked at the last 200 years of technical innovations and the way that they enter society, and she divides kind of that entry into 5 phases. The first phase she calls eruption. So eruption is basically when the insiders, the people that are closest to the discovery, start to play with it and figure out how to use it. That time's done in AI. So that was kind of the time when the Google paper was published, and the next 5 years until OpenAI introduced ChatGPT. There was a lot of work going on, but none of us really knew what was going on. When that was published, then we entered a new phase, and she calls that second phase frenzy. So I think it's pretty accurate. You know, the frenzy is there's this new technology, nobody knows what the limits are, and so all kinds of companies get funded. And importantly in frenzy, she studied probably 30 big innovations over the last 200 years. They always end with financial bubbles collapsing. So, right, you remember in the internet, huge collapse, same thing's gonna happen here. We're about 2.5 years into the frenzy right now, so we've probably got a couple more years, and then very likely you'll see a lot of reality reassert itself with the AI world. But it is rational, because the other thing that happens in these huge waves like AI is some of these epic-sized companies get built. So overall, the returns from those epic-sized companies are greater than all the money lost on everything else. So that's the reason for the insanity that we see right now. Okay, enough about things I only know a little bit about. Let's talk about education. And I want to kind of talk about 2 of the companies that I'm building right now. For background, when I started Rocketship, we were in a very similar phase with the internet, where the internet frenzy had just ended and it was starting to disseminate into the rest of society. And my thesis with Rocketship was, wow, internet apps would be a big thing that kids could now use and learn from, and that would be a big thing in education. So we built this period called Learning Lab. It was a 2-hour period each day that kids would go to that was all about what they individually needed to learn in order to get ahead. And the idea was they'd be on computers connected to the internet, or they'd be with tutors and they'd learn these things. You know, it was very successful, but not because of computers. We got very good at tutoring, specifically group tutoring, and that was very helpful. So kids made an extra half a year to 1 year of progress for every year they were at Rocketship because of our tutoring. The computers really were kind of disappointing, frankly. Not a lot of progress, and there are a lot of reasons for that, but probably if you bake it down, it's because they weren't personal enough. There was really no conversation happening with the children, there was no relationship being built, no trust happening, and so they just weren't very effective. They weren't a good replacement for human tutors. I think that's changed. I think really over the last couple of years that we're in a new era where new things are possible. So I started a company at the beginning of 2023 called Project Read. And the idea with Project Read, it's an AI that helps kids learn to read in school. So we put a story in front of a child on a computer. They read it out loud. Our AI listens and then gives them oral feedback on their reading. And it's been very helpful. So we currently, after our first year, we have 20,000 teachers using the product and about 100,000 students. So, you know, those metrics are good. We don't really know if it works yet, frankly. We're working with academic partners this next school year to understand like what the gains are and how it goes. But there are two big lessons for me from the last couple of years doing that. One is, I remember a year and a half ago putting the AI with kids, and the feedback it was giving right out of the box with no additional training was better than what I had seen with human tutors. And that was astounding if you think about it. You would think that, oh, well, it's okay, but it's kind of weird and it doesn't quite get the right thing. But the scope that the models are trained on and their use of language is so good that right out of the box, it was better. We've spent a year now adding lots of things to it so that it's even more precise, and I think it's quite good. But just right out of the box, it was really quite good. The second thing that we were really worried about because of the Rocketship experience was, okay, so you've got this AI with kids, maybe the kids won't trust it, there'll be no relationship, and it won't have the impact we want it to have. And I remember we were beta testing the product about a year ago in a middle school in Madison, Wisconsin, and there were a set of children who still weren't very good readers in middle school. And they were using our product a lot and making a lot of progress, and so we interviewed them. And there was one girl that just put it really well. She said, we said, you know, why are you using this so much? What's working? And she said, you know, for the first time when I read, I don't feel like anybody's judging me. And that was astounding to me, just the idea that actually this non-judgmental, infinitely patient AI tutor would actually be better for kids who are most struggling than human tutors. And there was kind of a light bulb that went off in my head at that point, which is, would AI be better at teaching core knowledge, kind of the core subjects, than teachers? And that's, you know, for an educator, that's a pretty sacrilegious thing to say because teachers are always the point of the operation. But I think that we have to try that because one of the challenges in education is it's extremely human capital centric. It's very hard to deliver great results at scale, and so we've got to see where we can augment that and make it better. So I'm starting a new high school in Texas with my co-founder Brandon, and it's going to be an AI-first high school. So the idea is what can AI do, and then how do you build a school around those capabilities? And so we're building an academic team, and their job is going to be to teach the model all of these different subjects and what it needs to teach the children. And then when a kid sits down, the idea is you have an AI expert in that subject, maybe an econ you've got an AI expert in econ, and you're having a conversation with them. So what they're not going to do is what we've been doing to children now for the last 20 or 30 years in high school, which is these lectures and just shoving information down their throats and, asking them to regurgitate it. This will be conversational. So the AI will speak with the kids and go down their interests and their questions and ask questions of their own. The model will know what they know and what they need to learn, so it won't just be random. It'll be directed. But hopefully through this conversational style, we'll get closer to the way that, everybody learned and has learned in the past, and we'll make some progress. The other thing that this AI tutoring really will help us do, hopefully, is free up several hours a day of class time. So we hope to do about 2 hours a day of this AI tutoring, and then we'll have about 4 hours of class time to work with the kids. And since the core knowledge, hopefully, is taken care of by the tutoring, what we really want to build is projects. So the academic team is going to build a set of projects in each subject area where the kids work together as groups to use the knowledge they learned in tutoring, but to apply it to the things that they want to build. For example, you might come up with a company starting a business using some of the economic principles that you just learned. And the thing that's exciting to me about that, and we tried to do this in Rocketship and just didn't succeed, is that when you do projects, you're really focused on kind of social emotional learning. These things that we as adults know are important, like communication, teamwork, planning, leadership, empathy, patience, all these things that are actually the things we hope that our kids learn, they've kind of been crowded out over the last 20 or 30 years. If you go to most high schools today, that group work is gone, and there's kind of lecture and response. So hopefully that's a big change and is very helpful. So I want to talk a little bit about what Brandon, my co-founder, wants to achieve. He's the chairman of the Texas Southern University, which is a historically black college in Houston. And he's got kind of 3 goals for us. One is the social emotional learning goal, that kids come out of our high school kind of being higher functioning adults maybe than what we're seeing today. The second is to reintroduce vocational education. So, this was another casualty of the college readiness push. Voc Ed, as many of us experienced it, is more or less gone at this point. But now that we have the time in the day to build additional things into the day, we want to reintroduce Voc Ed. Cristo Ray, which is here, I know Matt Bell is here. I don't think Peter is here, but hopefully we'll see it on Zoom. Cristo Ray High School reintroduced Voc Ed by building apprenticeships with local companies so that students could go work in a company a day a week and really get to experience what that company does, and hopefully end high school with some idea of what they want to do for a living, what they're interested in. So we think that's super important. The final thing is college debt. And many of you are probably aware of this if you've got kids that have gone through it. Many children leave college with several $100,000s of debt, and that's absolutely crushing to a lot of kids. And Brandon's super focused on this issue. We're doing something kind of innovative in this area, I think. So a student will graduate our high school both with a high school degree, but also with an AA degree, which is the first 2 years of college. And we're doing that credentialed in conjunction with one of the HBCU's, historically black colleges. And those credits in the AA will be transferable to surrounding universities. So a student that finishes with us will then be able to go on and finish college in 2 years, which hopefully will significantly reduce the amount of debt that they've got. I should note that the ability to take 4 years of high school and 2 years of college and kind of push it into 4 years really is because of the efficiency of this type of AI tutoring. So we'll see if that works. Obviously, it's all pie in the sky right now, but that's my hope, is that that's effective. So I should say, like, kind of what is the effect on teachers and jobs in education? I'm a huge optimist here because I think that, you know, having run a school system with hundreds of teachers, people don't become teachers often because they care about subject matter. They become teachers because they care about kids. And the thing about teaching kind of this high school version of like lecture and assess and grade and stuff like that, it's not really as much about the kids as the subject matter. So I think as teachers are able to do more of the work we're talking about with projects, with groups, with children, I actually think it's going to be a much more enjoyable job than kind of the lecture style teaching. I also think that one of the great things about education is that we don't have a cost problem. You know, education's okay on cost. We want our quality to go up. Healthcare has the cost problem, so they can figure out how to cut jobs. We don't need to cut jobs. We just need people to have jobs that are sustainable, that they love. So hopefully this type of AI augmentation will be very, very helpful for education. So I'm going to stop there, and I would love to take your questions and see if I can answer them.
Fantastic. You hang out right there.
Okay.
Perfect. We've got our traveling red badgers with microphones and lots of hands up. All right. Jim Horry, you're first there with Tim.
Oh, thank you. Do we have any data on completion and retention rates? The idea that you have of combining the use of the computer instruction with teachers in the following hours makes all kinds of sense to me in terms of that. I ran a similar program overseas in which we used a math instruction, and we had tutors moving among the computers to make sure the students were on task. We got far better completion and retention than we did if we had them working alone at the machine. And so I think that's
I think it's too early to tell, even with Project Read, my previous reading project on what the kind of completion rates or retention looks like. It's very qualitative at this point. I think, you know, as an educator, I think it's extremely important to study these things because it's easy to say, oh, we've got the next whiz-bang thing, and then it doesn't actually produce the results. So I think this next year for Project Read and 2 years from now for the high school, we'll start to collect some data and see what works and what doesn't.
Great. Brand new red badger, Joan. Step up to the mic.
How does AI deal with experience and relatability? I mean, those are the two functions that really, it's about the inspiration that makes the great leaders in this world. How does AI take into account those two factors that really are the success in the end?
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what I was worried about with Project Read is, you know, what is the role of knowledge dissemination and what is the role of relationship in kind of teaching? What I'd say is it's not obvious to me yet what the answer to that is going to be in the world of AI. All I know is the early results were surprising, and surprising to me in particular because we had been doing a lot of tutoring at Rocketship. I was 100% on this is about relationship. And then, you know, the results we've seen at Project Read have been quite good despite the fact that this is a machine. So usually in these situations, those of us who have been through it have our biases on how the world should be, but that may or may not be the way that kids see it. So I think the way I look at it is this is all a way of kind of experimenting and trying to discover what we can use this new capability for, but, you know, want to be humble about that. Who knows yet, but we're gonna try.
Thank you for the question. Tim.
Yes, good afternoon. This is more of an easy question for you. It's more procedural.
Softball.
So how is, I presume it's a public charter school, and how do you get your students? Is it open to all kids, high school age kids? Or?
Yeah, actually, it's a more radical answer than you might think. So in Texas and 24 primarily red states, they've passed new laws called Education Savings Acts, which are more or less the dollars follow the student. So the parent can decide where to spend their money. So they're not charter laws. And this, despite my push in the other direction, I think we'll probably do this as for-profit high schools, which kind of is difficult for me to say because I'm a nonprofit guy. That's what Rocketship was. But it could be a new era. You know, these ESA laws are a lot more flexible in the way that you build your school, which I think is going to be very helpful when you're way out on the edge like we are now. I don't think you could build a high school, a charter high school, in the way that we want to build it because there are too many requirements, you know, about how you build high schools in the public realm. So we'll see how it goes.
Wonderful. Let's go with Chelsea's choice on that back table there. Here's some water for you.
Thank you.
Hi. So I think a lot of us are concerned about AI and training AI and our collective history, because this is generally his story, not her story.
Yep.
Certainly not their story or the other's story that we're training on. So it seems like a necessary speed bump to make sure that our collective biases that exist in our history aren't transferred into our AI and then taught to our children as truth. So curious how you address that.
Yeah, super good point. I mean, and really in education, we're more worried about that, I think, than people are generally in society. I know it's a topic people worry about, but in education, it's super important because if you're talking to a high schooler and you transmit information that's biased, you know, they're going to pick up on that, and that's going to become something they believe. So you're totally right. Obviously, our hope is that a lot of the work gets done for us by the people building the base models, and I know there is a lot of good work. I know the people at Anthropic pretty well, and they're working actually quite hard to remove bias from their models, and I think everybody is. But a lot of what I think we'll go through with the high school for the first couple of years is issues just like this, like how do we take the base thing and actually make it right for education. So I'll let you know. It's going to be hard.
Hi. In the back to there.
Thanks,
This
John.
is
Poodle. You talk about AI read and all the usefulness of AI at school. I'm wondering about the writing skill and the thinking process, because when the students have to write an essay, they have to have the knowledge, the thought process, and the English skill. But now AI does all of that for them. So how does it affect the ability to think of the students?
I was actually just at an event with a couple friends who were college professors, and they were talking about how difficult it is now to run college classes in the traditional way, because you give students an essay to write and a bunch of people submit essays that are basically grammatically perfect, you know, et cetera. And, you know, I think the immediate reaction is, ooh, we need to ban this and detect it. And by the way, OpenAI now with 99% certainty can tell you if something was written with AI. So the AI companies are aware of this. But I actually think there's a slightly different answer. I think we should ask students to take that as a base and then do more, as opposed to like take away the base. So I think that it's true, a lot of students are going to be better writers, you know, 5 years from now than we saw. But that's the new kind of standard. Now what are you going to do? And so I think we'll see some college professors, some high school teachers adapt to the new tools, as opposed to banning them, kind of think about like how can you use them better. But it's obviously a big debate right now.
I'm going to try to fit in 2 more questions. We have 2 minutes left. Bonnie, I see you, and then Sean. See how fast we can go.
John, thanks so much. What you've talked about is really very, very interesting, but I want to dial down a little bit to this thing called homework.
Mm-hmm.
And the students that I encounter are lower socioeconomic, disadvantaged in some ways, loved in others.
Yep.
They come with homework. Now, I should be able to do their homework, but I have trouble explaining how the teacher now wants to see this homework. We can get the answers. I can help them find a research source, but I think this is a very unfortunate use of time, particularly when their parents don't have the same education or know how to do it. Do you see AI in even elementary school being able to help with homework?
It's kind of a softball question. You may not know my opinion on homework. So in the history of Rocket Ship, I was the no homework guy, and Preston, my co-founder, was the lots of homework guy. Preston won. He was the principal of the first school, so he got to make those calls. But I always felt the same way that you asked that question. For low-income parents, especially as you move up, elementary maybe they can be extremely helpful, but even upper-income parents at middle and high school, like, you know, their ability to help goes way down. So I never liked homework as kind of a core academic feature of schools, and my strong bias would be to not have homework anymore for that reason. I think on-site with other students and teachers is far better than kind of pushing it home. That's my point of view.
Right. Quick question, quick answer. Sean.
Sure. John, welcome back. It's great to see you again.
Thanks. Good to see you.
My question is this. Why Texas and not any of the other 49 states that you could have chosen? Why'd you choose Texas?
One big part is Brandon, my co-founder, who is, I underplayed, but he's a big deal. He's in this world of education, for those of you in education, politics is a big part of it. He's very good at that. The second part is that, and I say this as a diehard Californian, the red states have created an innovation here in terms of financing that just makes it far easier to do something that's way out of the box like we're doing. I really couldn't imagine doing this in California. We would get nickeled and dimed. Every time we went through charter approval, there'd be some other thing we couldn't do. It was hard enough just to do Rocket Ship with Learning Lab. So a lot of it is just moving into a space where it's a little bit more of a free-for-all, and we know the good and the bad of free-for-alls, but hopefully we can do good with it.
Wonderful. Sean, so great to spend an afternoon with you. Hang out, we're going to take a photo. A gift in your name has been made to the Trash Punks, and they're a local group here, although they do work globally as well, and they keep plastic and trash out of our creeks and streams, which means it keeps it out of the oceans, and we're doing that virtuous cycle.
Awesome.
And then as a special gift from San Jose, California, I've got this beautiful bag of Chandler Premium Walnuts from our orchardist, Carl Silker. Those are super premium, so come on over. Let's do a photo right here. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Wow, bringing AI down to a superhuman scale. Okay, next week, I'm being cut off. Program committee, you guys are killing it lately. Next week, we have Raj Mathai, a journalist and anchor from NBC Bay Area. Get your lunch orders in early. I know we're gonna have a packed room for that one. And let's see what else. Oh, we're already at final thoughts. My goodness, I got 1 minute for final thoughts. Fantastic. Tonight, Jay and I are going to be, after the happy hour at the Fountainhead, we're going to be heading over to City Lights for their performance of Rocky Horror. I hope you'll go out and enjoy the final runs of Rocky Horror at City Lights. What a wonderful theater company. And just to recuse myself, I did serve on their board for many, many happy years with my buddy Charlie McCollum out there and a few others of you. And then today, to bring it back down to thanking Mary Curtis for your leadership on disaster relief. Serendipitously, there was a New York Times article today, pretty heartbreaking, just kind of gird your loins for that one, but the need there is still great, and some therapy would definitely help. And so if you're moved to still help on your own, by all means, take a look at that article and see what speaks to you. They really need us. And then it looks like 40% of the people there are still experiencing food insecurity. That number was shocking to me, and it makes me feel a little bit nauseous, honestly. All right, to bring us up on a high note, I really appreciate everyone here who purchased a lunch through Scott's, for making that a priority to have joyful fellowship with each other over a meal, for supporting a downtown business, and keeping trash out of the landfills. I look forward to seeing you around town in San Jose. We are adjourned.